Hi, story time with Angel. So, how do you feel about dating sites? I'm actually surprised when I hear people speak negatively about it or like it's an embarrassing thing to be on a dating site. I actually think they're awesome, and I feel like you never know where God has your person, so by any means necessary. But the Lord was trying to teach me a point one day, and He was saying, Angel, don't think that anyone that you encounter on a dating site is just about who you're supposed to be with. Maybe it's a situation that I want to use you in. He was already speaking to me about this. And so I thought, okay, Lord, you're right. Like, I selfishly get on a site just waiting to meet someone that I want to date instead of asking you and conversing with you about what you might want to do. So in this season that he was speaking to me about this, I was on a dating site and I thought, okay, let me approach this differently, not just think about whether or not this person is someone that God would have for me. So as I'm scrolling, I see a person and I don't feel necessarily attracted to them, their profile or whatever, but yet I felt compelled in a way to swipe right on this person. So because I felt like that, I started praying and asking the Lord, like, what is this about? So I swipe right, we end up exchanging numbers at some point, and we have our first phone conversation. And in this phone conversation, I'm like checking in with my spirit, like, what am I sensing in my spirit? And while they were sounding cheerful and it was a good conversation, I just felt like this feels so pretentious. I feel like they're putting on right now. Something's not right. So I'm listening to them talk, and then I felt like, you need to pray for this person. And I thought, okay, this is my first phone conversation with someone that I met on a dating site, and I'm feeling like the Lord said, pray. So I said, is it okay if I pray for you right now? Now, mind you, I don't ever mind praying. Yes, in my natural mind, I felt like, is he gonna think I'm crazy or weird or a Jesus freak or something? But at the same time, he was a believer. So I thought, surely he won't think it's so crazy. But it was our first phone conversation. We had never actually met up. So I said, can I pray for you? And he said, sure, like it was no issue. And so I began to pray. And because I operate in the prophetic, when I pray, chances are I'm going to start prophesying. So I'm on this call, I'm praying and I'm prophesying, and this word is coming out of me so strongly. It was very emotional, and it was talking about this trauma. And in my natural mind, I'm saying, what in the world am I even talking about? God, am I even making sense to him right now? And at this point, he is silent. And the things that the Lord is saying to him is like speaking comfort to him and letting him know that God sees him. And as I continue, he starts crying. And now we're on the phone as complete strangers, and I'm prophesying and he's crying, and I'm like, man, Lord, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I'm so grateful that I was open to whatever you wanted to do. So when I finished praying, he gets himself together and he was like, wow, I can't believe you said all that. I cannot believe that God just did that. And so I'm just wondering, what is this even about? What is God even talking about? And then he starts to share with me that only a couple weeks ago, he had called a taxi to come pick him up, and two taxis are coming toward him, and there's a freak accident. They collide, but they also hit him. So only a few weeks ago, he had had one of his legs amputated. Now, when he tells me this story, I'm just so blown away, because I then understood why God was going in on this prophetic word the way that he was. And I was so taken aback because I had never spoken to someone that had gone through such a traumatic thing so recently, and he was doing so well. But the words that the Lord spoke to him were so necessary. It felt like God was really letting him know that I see you. So it was just amazing. I mean, the guy is doing well since then. And furthermore, though, it's not like he was an IT person. It's one thing to be sitting behind a desk every day for your job and to lose a leg, but he was a personal trainer. So imagine that, to be a personal trainer and to go through something so traumatic in a country that's not your home. Man, I was like, Lord, thank you for speaking to me beforehand about being aware of what God might want to do in a situation, instead of selfishly thinking that everything is about me when I'm even going to a dating site. Man, it was so amazing. Since then, like I said, he's doing so well. We've stayed in touch and everything. But, It was such a great reminder from the Lord that I will use you anywhere you let me use you, whether it's a dating site, whether it's on the streets. We just have to stay aware. Stop moving through life every day only thinking about what you're thinking about. I always say, God, let me be a tool in your hands, the best tool that you could have. Well, those kinds of situations, God is like, can you be a tool in this situation? Don't just be thinking about who could be your future spouse, but what about my agenda and what I want to do on the earth? And it was so amazing to be used by God in that way. And ever since then, I look at everything differently. Every space I go into, my spiritual antennas are up and I'm saying, God, anybody I need to speak to, anyone you want me to pray for, is such a spiritual awareness that God really wants all of us to walk in.